Hey movie junkies, welcome back to another episode of Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and most importantly, physical media with you. Now this is a review I've been anxiously waiting for ever since it was announced earlier this year. And that is with The Fugitive. It's finally here on 4K UHD. And while I really wanted to get this review out way before its release date, I also wanted to make sure on a couple things before this review. Namely, I wasn't sure how this master was done, where the 4K was sourced from. I wasn't sure if maybe they took it from the 2013 master that Warner Brothers did for the 20th anniversary, which looked excellent by the way, or did they go full in with a new 4K master? So I reached out to my representative over at Warner Brothers and got his response, along with this press release that I received with the 4K. And he says, "It's all new. The mastering team scanned the original negative in 8K, 16-bit, and that became their source." Yeah, you read that right, guys. Warner Brothers did in fact go all in with a new 8K restoration, mastered in 4K with 16-bit color depth, which I was really surprised by. That Warner Brothers went to 8K resolution with this one, and thankfully they did, because this desperately needed it. Now I'm sure, like you, I've also owned The Fugitive on every format available. VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, I own both Blu-rays. And while this 2013 Blu-ray was the best I've ever seen it at the time, I really had no problems with it. Still, home media never really took full advantage of The Fugitive's image and audio quality potential. So let's dive in and see how this 4K UHD stacks up against the 2013 Blu-ray and if it's worth upgrading from either one of the previous Blu-rays. I was absolutely blown away when I pressed start on The Fugitive. It is instantly stunningly beautiful, and the only cleanup job done was wear and tear to the negative sitting in storage. Other than that, the film is maintained here. This new 4K transfer is one of those that makes you feel like you've never seen the movie before, even though you've seen it a dozen times. The movie also feels much more cinematic this time around on physical media, with a more appropriate theatrical 1:8:5:1 aspect ratio. As far as the colors, keep in mind The Fugitive never was intended to have bright, bold, vibrant colors. It leans more towards natural, almost muted, or I would really say grayish tones. And the color reproduction on this 4K honestly isn't that too far off from how the Blu-ray, the 2013 Blu-ray looked. So tonally speaking, things really haven't changed drastically from the 2013 Blu-ray with the color reproduction. However, the difference here with the color reproduction is with the added color depth and the HDR10 grading that adds more tangibility to the color palette, really allowing those colors to come through more vividly, yet while still staying with the natural tones the film always had, with those grays, darker blues, and browns creating the cold Chicago winter environment. And honestly, guys, with this 4K, you can feel the cold atmosphere the filmmakers were going for in the design of the color palette, with colors being much more rounded out this time here on the 4K. Yet we still get some very nice splashes of reds and yellows, blues that are deeper and more lively, that has some excellent pop to it. Skin tones are also handled better, looking a bit warmer than on the Blu-rays, and saturation is dialed in just right, bringing more life and punch to the image without it ever looking overly boosted or hot. And contrast is also enhanced just enough to give the film a little more natural brightness. All looks much more appropriately applied here, and it just looks fantastic. Now, the black levels on the 2013 Blu-ray, I honestly didn't think there was any problems with them. However, that is until I compared the 4K next to the 2013 Blu-ray. And that's when I saw how the black levels tend to look, where they look just a tad grayish in areas during certain scenes. Especially during the opening credits and some night shots is where I saw it the most. Other than that, however, there was no crushing with the Blu-ray that I saw, and overall looked great. What this 4K UHD does, however, is elevate those black levels with the HDR10 that look more deeper and inky black, with no grayish blacks to be found, along with deeper, richer shadows that penetrate deep into the screen, giving a terrific sense of added depth and three-dimensionality to the image. And what this really does is it adds more space and distance to scenes such as the dam in the sewers, hospital hallways, and much more, allowing for the scale of the film to really open up and breathe, something that the Blu-ray just really lacked with. Now, another problem with both Blu-rays is with the movements during fast action scenes that had a slight blur jitter to it. This 4K fixes this, giving the same action scenes and keeping them looking smooth and cinematic. Now, an area where this 4K really excels is with the details and textures. First off, all the jagged lines from both Blu-rays are now missing. Edges of objects appear more natural and normal now. The hairs on Harrison Ford's bearded face carry more prominent definition, and all the wrinkles are more revealing on Tommy Lee Jones's face. Overall, all the facial close-ups looks healthier, more natural, revealing pores, beads of sweat, complexions. With the higher resolution, the image carries more lines to the image, giving much sharper and defined details all the way around. From every leaf on the ground to rocks, clothing, the entire production design is just clearer, sharper, healthier, and much more tangible here on this 4K. The bitrate ranges from around 65 topping out around 86. As for the grain structure, keep in mind, The Fugitive was never a heavy grainy movie to begin with, only having a very fine layer of grain filled. This 4K thankfully fully retains this with a very thin, fine layer of grain structure, giving us its theatrical filmic appearance. This is just an outstanding looking 4K UHD presentation. All right, now let's get into the audio presentation of this, and this is something I'm really excited about. It does come with a new Dolby Atmos track. Now, I know what you're thinking. Warner Brothers has always been kind of hit and miss with these new Atmos tracks. Some really work, some really don't. This one, though, is a clear winner. The biggest issue I had with every home video release, including the 2013 Blu-ray, and also even the Laserdisc back in the day, was the audio. For some reason, it just never really duplicated the same impactfulness, the same type of sound design that we had with the DTS track back in the day in the theater. Well, I'm very excited to say that now we do. This Dolby Atmos track is sourced from the original theatrical track, giving us a full-bodied and healthy Atmos mix that delivers and dominates over any previous home media release. This track really heightens the experience of the film and builds a very full and engaging soundscape that just pulls you into this movie. The track is expertly balanced with effective uses of contrasting volumes. There is also a terrific amount of layering and depth showcased through each discrete channel. The height channels really works here, creating a very effective amount of natural environments. For example, inside the dam sewer tunnels, it sounds incredible, with water running and dripping from above you, coming down behind and to the sides of the listening area. It sounds like you're actually in the tunnel with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. There are also some nice off-screen voices from echoes, as well as gunshots and debris coming from above. This is really one of the better active height experiences I've had with Dolby Atmos. James Newton Howard's action-packed score sounds very active and dynamic and also more open. And low ends are constantly engaging and active with a good amount of bass from the power of engines running, crashing, slamming, gunshots, and of course the train crash sequence. It's all there, giving your subs a really great workout. As I said, this is definitely one of the better Atmos tracks from Warner Brothers I've heard on physical media. Well, I don't know if I really have to say, because I think you can guess what my overall score for The Fugitive on 4K is. I'm giving Warner Brothers 4K UHD presentation of The Fugitive a resounding 5 out of 5. This is hands down the best 4K UHD Dolby Atmos experience I've seen from Warner Brothers yet. Alright, but here is the real test. Let me know over in the comments section, when you look at the differences here between the Blu-ray and the 4K UHD, which do you think looks better? Head over to the comment section and let me know. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for hanging out a few minutes here with me and talking about The Fugitive on 4K UHD and comparing it to the previous release 2013 Blu-ray. Let's get that out of here. I also want to give a huge shout out to Warner Brothers for sending this to us to review for you guys. This is definitely well worth picking up and dumping that old Blu-ray. As always, guys, keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time.